Hey, I'm Bob at ILikeToMakeStuff. Today, we're gonna make gliders. I designed my glider in Illustrator, but you could also use Inkscape or many of the other free options for design software. I put out some points and made a general plain design just kind of out of my head, not following anything in particular, and made sure to put slots for the wings and the tail. The wings were just made from a rounded rectangle, and then I moved the endpoints, the wingtips, back a little bit. I copied that shape for the tail as well. I brought all these through an SVG file into Easel, and then copied the wings and the tail out to a separate project. They'll be cut out of thinner stock. For the body, I was using 3 32" balsa wood that I got at a craft store. I cut it down to a piece about 17 inches long, but you could do it to whatever, turned on the X-Carve, and let the machine run. This stuff is super soft and super thin, so it can cut through it very, very quickly. You can up your settings quite a bit. Then the body was ready. You can see the thickness difference because the wings were going to be cut out of 1/16 balsa. Now in this case, I forgot to put tabs in, and it actually ruined the tail, so I had to recut the tail and the wings at the same time. You can see the tabs here are left, not cut out by the machine, to hold the piece in place until you're ready to take it out. When the cut was complete, I used a utility knife to cut the pieces free and trim off any of the extra tab that was left on the pieces. As long as the slots are the same thickness as your material, the tail and the wings will slide right in. You can adjust the wings forward and backward, and I decided to give it a test flight, and it actually worked. I experimented with weighting the front with different size and different numbers of paper clips, and once I found something that worked there, I decorated the plane a little bit. Then I decided to try something bigger. I got a piece of 2 foot by 2 foot styrofoam insulation from one of the big box stores and scaled up my design about 50%. The only change I had to make was to increase the size of the slot that was cut for the wings and the tail. This material is 1 inch thick, so I just had to make the inside of those cuts also 1 inch. This stuff cuts really fast and easy as well. With the pieces out, I decided to sculpt them a little bit using a rasp. I was trying to get a better wing shape, although I really don't know anything about aerodynamics, so I may have done more harm than good, I don't know. It slid in fine, and then I shaped the front and the cockpit area just because I was already making a mess. I knew the front of this would need a little bit of weight, so I screwed in a big heavy screw. Here's what I ended up with: the Sharpie decorated balsa glider and a big pink styrofoam glider. Let's see how they go. First flight, the styrofoam was a big failure. Balsa was pretty good. In fact, the balsa seemed to do better every single time. The styrofoam, I tried lots of options for moving the wings. It just didn't work very well. The balsa, you could adjust the wings and get it to do different things. So I know one of the first comments are going to be, why do you need a CNC machine? You could do that with an X-Acto knife. And you're absolutely right, you could. By using a CNC machine, the cuts are going to be a lot more exact, and doing curves is probably going to be cleaner on a machine rather than using a knife, but it's totally possible. In my case, I'm thinking ahead to birthday parties. I have 4 kids, and so birthday parties are really big and we have a lot of people around. And if I wanted every kid to have one of these to play with, I'm not going to cut them all out by hand. I'm going to be doing this on the CNC machine, cutting out a whole bunch of them and then just having the kids put them together. But if you're just making 1 or 2, of course you can use a knife for this. You could even use a knife for this one, and it would probably work just as well. So as far as flyability, like I said before, I know nothing about aerodynamics, and so I probably shaped these wings totally wrong. If you know more about it, then you could probably shape this one to fly really well. It's a nice dense foam. Maybe it's too dense, I'm not really sure. But for me, this one didn't really fly very well. If you want to spend the time to design it correctly, I'm sure you could probably get it flying. It was a cool test though. This one actually flew really well for me, and I think with a little bit more knowledge and research on the correct wing shape and all that stuff, you could probably make it fly even better. When I bought these as a kid, oftentimes the wing was actually bent up a little bit, and I'm sure that you could do that by soaking this in water and bending it right along the center line, letting it dry that way. That would probably work fine. I just didn't try it for this. But I did find that how well it flew had a lot to do with where I put this wing in the slot and how much weight I put on the front. It also seemed to matter a whole lot where I threw it from. If I held right beneath the wing and threw it from there, it seemed to fly a lot better than if I held it back here. So that's it, a really simple project, but it's great for kids because they can decorate the plane any way they want to, and it's a way for them to experiment. They can change the amount of weight here, they can slide the wing back and forth, and try these things to see if it makes the flying better. That's a chance for them to experiment and see an immediate result. So hope you liked this one, and if you did, let me know in the comments below or at ILikeToMakeStuff.com. If you've got some knowledge of aerodynamics that you want want to share with other people that are doing something like that, you can leave it in the comments below. Also, there's a channel that you might be interested in if you like this sort of thing called FliteTest. I have no affiliation with them. They're just great videos and a good channel. I'll put a link down in the description for them. I would love to see some stuff that you are working on, especially if you make some of these gliders. So please share it with me on any of the social networks. I've got a lot more CNC, woodworking, and all sorts of project videos for you to check out, and there's some playlists right here for you to find this. If you like the videos that I make and you want to help support what I'm doing, Patreon is the best way to do that. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Hey, I'm Bob, and I'm